he goes, Donald Duck meet Daffy Duck. So he does Daffy and I do Donald. And he goes, that's great. You can do somebody else's voice, but really you should create original voices because that's really how I became, famous. And that's how I succeeded. And he was right, but he was wrong. Because when he passed away, it took 6 people to replace him.
Yeah.
So you got 6 new jobs. I mean, he was just brilliant. I mean, you're talking about the greatest voiceover actor since Frank Welker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Joe, who did Plucky Duck, he's gone now, but he used to be a really heavy comedian, dropped all the weight, and then dropped dead of a heart attack. But Joe told me this terrible story where they brought him in to do Yosemite Sam on Roger Rabbit, and Mel Blanc was very bitter because Zemeckis and Spielberg were listening to the voice. You could hear Mel's age at the time. Yeah. And so they gave him like one character so they could keep him in the loop. But he was very bitter when he heard who was doing which one of his voices. You know what I mean? That's what Joe told me.
Really?
Yeah.
That I didn't know. I had just lost Donald Duck to some other guy on.
Yeah, that other guy.
That other guy, whatever. No comment.
Wow.
So, but I had done Donald Duck with Mickey, Donald, and Goofy. Was Peter Renaday was Mickey, and Tony Pope was the voice of Goofy, and he became Teddy Ruxpin later. Unfortunately, he's passed away too.
Wow, I remember those Teddy Ruxpins, and you put the cassette tape in the Teddy.
Well,
and
we did the talking.
They're creepy.
We did the talking.
Very child's play.
So when Teddy Ruxpin came out, that ticked off Disney and said, we're the kings of audio animatronics. So they did a talking Mickey Mouse doll, which I did Donald Duck on, and you could attach Goofy to him. And I have it at home. I have the dolls. And they both talk, and in between you hear Donald Duck. They never did a Donald Duck doll. But they did an audio animatronic talking Mickey Mouse doll in the late 80s. And I was the original tape on that. It's a cassette tape. You stick it in the back.
Wow.
Yeah, I still have it. I show it when I go to some of these shows.
That was the one that said Mickey Says, right? They had like a Simon Says version of that.
Yeah, they do. They did, and I did the talking books for Fisher Price.
Yes.
Wow, did you really?
Yeah, I did.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, I did a lot of their records, toys, and tapes in the 70s and 80s because they weren't making cartoons.
Oh, that's true because cartoons became. Well, remember cartoon? I did a big story in the Super Friends. I tracked them all down. I got Danny Dark right like a week before he died. The voice of Superman. He was also the voice of ABC. And the animators had a term they called Hanna-Barbera palsy. And then because usually you had to do 24 frames a second, 24.
Yeah.
And Hanna-Barbera, being cheap and mass-producing cartoons, you have no idea until you watch it on Boomerang. It's like, my God, why do they watch this at age 8 for endlessly? But they would, instead of 24 frames per second, Hanna-Barbera would do 11 frames. And that's why Superman and Fred Flintstone and all the characters that terrible palsy as they're trying to walk across the room. And it was
And it's worse? Anime.
Oh, yeah.
They don't even move at all. They just...
They blink their eyes and they do the voice, and you have.
And all you see is the mouth moving.
And that's anime, and it's a big hit. Give me a break. I don't know.
Michael Bell and the late Casey Kasem told me the problem with doing Japanese cartoons is he said we have to speak really, really fast, and you have to do gobs and gobs of dialogue. And then Casey goes, I stopped doing those Japanese cartoons. It was just too much work. I mean, guys like you and Michael Bell can do everything. Michael Bell,
great actor. He started as an actor.
He was on the his voices, and you hear his voice like 3 different times in the original Star Wars. One of his great stories, Lucas wanted to replace like the bearded guy, the Death Star is closing in, at the end of the film, but Lucas wanted him to redub C-3PO, and he goes, that guy's voice is perfect. Don't touch him. And to this day, Anthony Daniels will mention the cartoon guy who saved his career because he wouldn't. He said he goes, listen, it's your movie, but and remember when you read the script for Star Wars, he specifies that C-3PO talks like Humphrey Bogart in The Treasure of Sierra Madre, and he wouldn't. He just told him, listen, that guy's voice is perfect and matches the robot completely. And so by doing that, they left C-3PO alone, and
And Michael Bell is just a consummate actor, great actor. I barely know him.
Great guy.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great stories about him. He's just a sweet guy.
And his wife, Victoria Carroll, he trained her. She was also an actress who was trained into cartoon work.
Yeah, you know, you the best actors are the guys who have the acting back. You're going to be a voice. You don't just do a voice. You have to create the acting. You have to create the range, the emotional range for the character. You know, Donald Duck has a range. You know, Little Quacker has a range.
What is Donald Duck's range? Because Little Quacker is charming, but Donald Duck is...
Well,
he gets mad. Donald gets mad.
Yeah.
But you know, Donald Duck, I always liked him because he's everything goes right for Mickey Mouse. And in the same perfect universe for Mickey Mouse, the universe kind of screws over Donald Duck.
Yeah, well, if you notice, he gets mad, he gets frustrated. In other words, he can't open a window. That's
or a chair, or a folding chair.
Just a regular folding chair or something, or a bumblebee, you know, stings him and he goes nuts. But he has a short temper.
Yeah.
So, and that's how it was described to me. Any little thing will tick him off. You know, he just gets angry really quick. And you know, he used to count to 10. You know, he used to put on a record to calm his anger. You know, and then they would say, "Oh, count to 10." You know, so he would calm down. You know, but yeah, we just did an episode where Little Quacker, the baby duck, sings opera. You know, he goes and takes
Little Quacker is the other name for Yankee Doodle.
Yeah,
I knew it was Yankee Doodle. Yeah,
Little Quacker's the original voice, the original name from 1950. And so I had to go and research that and find out how he laughs. He laughs differently than Donald Duck, and you know, and he's always kind and he's always naive and narrow-minded, and you know, he's a baby. You know, and he's always innocent. So Tom to him is his friend. Tom wants to eat him,
but he doesn't know this. He just freaked him up.
Right. And we did one where he sleepwalks, and we did one where he swims around in invisible paint, which I like the best because it's the clearest duck I've ever done.
Really?
Yeah, you really hear, you can understand everything I say. At least I can. And the reason is the dialogue. You know, we switched it around so it works. So with the duck, we play with the words.
But and also as the duck, I mean, especially in Tom and Jerry are mute characters.
Yes, they don't talk.
So you and the dog and anyone else do all the heavy lifting on the plot, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's all visual, physical stuff, and it's international. I mean, that's really, it's not even playing in the United States other than on Boomerang, and you have to stream that. So, but it's because of the international demand for Little Quacker, for Tom and Jerry cartoons, that's made it such a big hit. We were only, I think, the executive producer told me we're only going to go two seasons. We're in our 4th season.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be The Simpsons, but, you know.
You got about 26 years to go.
Yeah, 26 years to go, yeah. But it's just that it's worldwide. And, you know, you can see it on YouTube in all these different languages, German and, you know, Japanese and Chinese. That's really funny.
Let's hear something in German.
How are you? So, you come here for an interview.
Nuremberg is so nice this time of year.
I don't get to do the voice in German. They have somebody.
Sam had an interesting post on Facebook about Sweden.
Yeah.
That was a trip.
Let's hear about Sweden. Steve Joyner says you have a story.
They love Donald Duck.
Wow.
They celebrate him.
Yeah, they celebrate
for Christmas.
Donald Duck?
What?
Yeah, right?
The limited, I can't explain it, but the limited television that Donald Duck would play, you were like, maybe I should just move to Sweden.
Yeah, I should just move to Sweden because they worship Donald Duck over there.
Wow.
You know, so it was really great, you know.
You could fill theaters up.
Yeah, feel that. Just go.
Okay. Even have a little puppet.
Yeah.
Bond.
Yeah, pay me.
Wow. That's it. That's all the Donald you get tonight.
Yeah.
No, listen. How about you, Mr. Director? When do you start this clown film? No. Apologize for nothing, Yankee Doodle. Okay. We're coming right back to you. And the hot blonde, we're working our way to you as well. Talk to us, Mr. Director. How long a shoot do you think you're going to do with Clown?
It should probably take about a month.
Is that going to be shot entirely in the Central Valley?
Correct.
Wow.
It is.
Are we going to go to Clovis at all?
We might do a little Clovis shoot. Most of it's going to be done in Visalia.
Now, how far is isn't there some Vallejo is not far from Visalia, is it?
Vallejo?
No, it's Yeah, it's far.
Oh, it's far.
That's like by the Bay Area.
Don't they have a theme park there or something?
My brother and I were in Visalia for Seabiscuit. We were supposed to beat up Tobey Maguire, and the movie went long. There was a scene where he owes money, and so we were going to have to punch out Tobey Maguire. And the director, Gary Ross, great director, all the horse stuff was going so slowly. They kept cutting scenes. And so when they cut the scene where we beat him up for the money he owes the boss, we had nothing to do but hang out and watch. They built this, and they were shooting there. They were shooting by Anderson's Pea Soup. I mean, it was so weird because outside of this movie, these sleepy little towns, nothing was happening. I mean, nobody was around. This is a big Hollywood movie, and there's nobody in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to bother you.
Don't you guys remember? I think for a while there was a show out called Fresno.
Yeah, in fact, hold on, you mid-'80s Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dynasty. It was a dynasty parody, Dallas Dynasty parody,
Yes.
with Dabney Coleman as the JR type heel. It was a mini series, and they
Yeah.
were hoping to get picked up.
Right.
Got rave reviews, and sadly, nothing happened
Yeah.
to it.
I remember. Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Steve Jordan points out. But at the opening, they do remember the sweeping Dallas shot above South Fork. The
Yes.
opening was the sweeping shot of the water tower that said Fresno.
Pretty pathetic, but
You are a walking encyclopedia.
Oh,
I know.
That's amazing.
that's why I brought it up, because I knew
Yeah.
you'd know or remember or see. Yeah.
It was when Dabney Coleman was in every other
Yeah.
project. You remember
Yeah,
that? I mean,
yeah.
it got to the point he was like the Chris Kattan of the 1980s, where you were so sick of this one actor showing up and everything. By the way, you look like Chachi. Did anyone ever tell you that?
Chachi?
Yeah. You look like Scott Baio, I have to be honest.
Well, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome, sir.
Yeah, I gave Janky my birthday one time, and he goes in his head, and he has it right off his head. He didn't have to look it up on his phone or nothing. He goes, "Oh, July 20th, 1969. That's when the men landed on the moon. The #1 song was this. The #1 TV show was that." And I'm like, "How do you know that? You weren't even..." I don't know. He's a walking encyclopedia.
I also taught high school history, and so that was my big party trick. If the kids behaved and they threw a birthday at me, I could tell them everything that was happening.
Oh, that's cool.
That's amazing.
One of the cool things I was talking to Joe about, and see, Joe and Chris are both from that area up there. I'm a transplant up there. But it's one of those locations where you got areas that could double for the English, like England, and it's got parts Oakhurst where Richard Kill was.
That's where my sister and my mom lived. And
Yeah, Gold
like
Circle, that Gold Circle area, Richard Kill was very proud of that.
Yeah, it looks like Washington State.
He shot a movie up there. In fact,
Yeah.
The Giant of Thunder Mountain. He told me about that.
Richard Keel was my mom's neighbor.
That's right.
He was also from Detroit.
Yeah, and so
Engineer.
there's connection, right? but it's cool. And what Joe was talking about was when we first met was how there's so much. It's like you can film anything there. And Chris was talking. Chris was on the way down here was talking about where American Graffiti was filmed. I don't remember.
Modesto.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Modesto, yeah, that's right.
How can one Chandra be so Levy, home of Gary Condit? For the
Yep.
Eminem fans.
Yeah.
So it's cool
Wow.
because Joe was telling me that for the film Clown, they're actually going to say it's Modesto. Originally, what was it, Joe? Was it Nondescript City?
Actually, we're gonna keep it in Visalia. I changed that around a little.
Oh, you're going to call it Visalia in the movie?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have it Visalia.
Wow, that'll give you.
Well, we gotta put it on the map. Everybody always mentions Fresno and how bad it is and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's not that bad.
Visalia
Actually,
sounds
I
pleasant.
will tell you, on the way to Seattle,
bad.
we stayed at a Comfort Inn or something in the
Yeah.
middle of downtown, and I remember about 2 in the morning, my brother and I were covered in bug bites. That's my big. I never stayed at another Fresno hotel. It's just get me out of here. I mean, so
You don't want to go in the wrong time of the season.
wow.
Must
Or,
have been
yeah, you don't want to
near
get a
the
hotel
river.
off the freeway either.
Oh, that's what we did.
That's a no-no.
So in Visalia, what is
We were
the
hitting bots dots. It was
what do they farm? What's the big crop there in Visalia?
There's a lot
weed.
of
We
citrus-
are. That was my line. Yes.
a lot of
Weed.
citrus and nuts right now.
Nuts.
Yeah, it's right off of
Or
198.
do a
which is,
squirrel.
Blue diamond almonds.
Yes, sir.
Blue diamond almonds.
I'm
yeah.
right here. Nuts. Thank you. I can hear you.
The squirrel can't keep his mouth out those nuts.
Yeah.
What's really cool is when you look at areas, and you've been on many sets and many sound stages.
Yeah, yeah.
Where you have, when they do location, where Chris and I live, Clovis looks like something out of the damn 1950s. It's like Mayberry. They roll up the sidewalk at 11. I mean,
Yeah.
And
does it bother you? You guys are young, so does it bother you to be? Well, you know, youngish, we'll say. No, but does it bother you that there's no nightlife?
No, I asked, when I first met Joe and Chris, she said, I'm happy with this, and they're happy because you know what? No traffic, no 405, no, But I think it's just for me as a city kid, it's quite an adjustment,
right.
And everybody on my street had Christmas lights on. I didn't for obvious reasons, but or in your window, no.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
But the thing is that I don't know.
Honey, ain't these some gifts?
But I think I like their attitude because it's really Chris was like she said it was a down part as you run into people that you knew everywhere.
Alan Autry was the mayor of Fresno.
Alan Autry.
And he's still active. He's still active doing.
You see him at Costco if you want.
He's an amazing actor, by the way. He did The Best Rednecks, didn't he?
Oh boy, I tell you. He's still the same.
He was always a great thug too. Before I felt bad when he started getting sitcom and family drama work. I felt bad because he used to do The Best Rednecks. What the hell are you doing here? And then once he became a beloved, you know what I mean? I mean, once he started getting the Dukes of Hazzard type roles, they just ended his character work overnight. He's suddenly he had to be charming, lovable. Everyone wanted the John Goodman type, and it ruined the whole a-hole type he was so good at.
Definitely.
I tell you, it's funny because Sam, I want to ask you this, and it's a very hard question to answer. Okay, if you had to say in your whole career, I asked this to Barry Pearl, so don't feel bad.
Oh, good.
And you worked with giants. I don't want to narrow it down, but who would you say is one of your favorites?
Actually, great.
Who is one of your favorites?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing in the world because.
I mean, I saw Ed Asner at the Hollywood shows a few months ago.
Yeah.
Very sweet guy. I've interviewed him a couple times.
We got a phone call. I think it might be your lead actor, Joe.
Oh.
Okay, can we get the answer for this real quick?
Let's get the answer.
I love Ed Asner. There's just so many to choose from. I don't know who to choose.
Bob
I got
Newhart.
Bob Newhart, but and
Susan Bush, I kissed you though.
Oh yeah,
that puts it-
Susan Bush had kissed me.
And if I may, Sam, you talk about Jerry Van Dyke.
Yes, I knew Jerry. We have breakfast every weekend, Saturday morning with a bunch of other actor, comedians, and stuff. Very nice guy. I have a real estate business, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
And he had me out looking for houses for him. We were going out together and with his wife, Shirley.
Be a good commission.
We're in a little different level.
Yeah.
So,
The
but
blonde with the ponytail might.
but very generous and very nice. I really I'm gonna miss him. He's, just God, I'm losing everybody.
No, hang in there, Sam.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Donald
It's the
Duck,
hardest question in the world because
I mean, just if you had to say because there's many. But if you say, I really enjoyed, and you may enjoy people for different reasons.
Well, believe it or not, I'm really good friends with Ed and Jerry Bednob and Barry Martyr. Those guys are, to me are, they're pals. And I don't know. It's hard to choose. It really is because everybody.
You're like, God, I get to work with him again. It's like,
Oh well, Ed. If I get to work with Ed or Barry, that's a dream. Or Jerry Seinfeld, that's a dream come true. Those guys are just, they got big hearts.
That's
They.
awesome.
That's a great story, Sam. Thank you.
Killer clown on the air.
Should we let's take this phone call.
Hot chick.
Hello, you're on the air on the Jeff Sargent Show. Who are you?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, sir.
Maybe Joe should introduce this guy.
Joe has this shit-eating grin on his face. I think he knows who you are.
We're on the radio. Pooping grin, we'll say.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Stay, your crazy clown.
Wow. Hey, David Stay, the crazy clown. How are you?
I couldn't be better, man.
Wow.
Monday morning, here we go again. Happy Martin Luther King Day, everybody.
There you go. Good news, bad news. Your role just went to Bill Oberst. Joking. Wow. So how are you? How would you describe your character in the film, sir?
Say that one more time.
How would you describe your character in the film, sir?
Oh, my
Talking
goodness
a little
gracious.
fast,
Pretty sad character, although he's a clown. It's not, I don't see it as a horror movie. It's more a psychological drama. And I'm looking forward to doing it, but at the same time, I know it's going to be brutal on me. So, but it's pretty deep, dark guy. So I'm going to have to dig deep into it as a method actor. I was actually talking to Joe the other day. I said, I'm not a method actor where people have to call me Stanley on set all day. No. But when I'm in the zone, it gets pretty deep for me.
Do you have any questions for Sam? Yucky Doodle, do you have any questions for our clown here?
Well, I was a clown in Letters from a Nut, but I was a sad clown. So, but he was a comedic clown. So
yeah, but you're still a clown.
Yeah, I'm still a clown. Yeah.
So, are you a retired? What are you allowed to talk about? What kind? Are you allowed to have what's your makeup? Are you what circus or what? What brings you that to what?
I don't think we've completely developed that yet.
Yeah,
it's got to be brilliant.
We're still working on the different face makeup because there's so many different faces that are out there, and you can't copy anybody's face.
That's right.
Right. Every clown's face
is try to do
right.
something with G. Simmons. You might be getting in trouble. So it's same thing with clown makeup. We're developing our own faces, and the thing with this clown is he is schizophrenic, so he has different personalities, and each personality is going to have a different face.
Oh man, now it could go from smooth edges around the lips, right, or the face, and then it could go to sharp.
We're going to be doing
the sharp edges. That's when kids get scared. I know that's when I get scared.
Sharp edges.
I guarantee you watch this movie when it's all said and done, you'll be scared.
Yep. Wow. So it is a horror film. It is a straight-up horror film.
It is. It's like you said, psychological. So you're going to have a little bit of a mind play, and his character, I think he's going to do awesome.
Now, is Chris an evil clown, or is she more of a clown finisher?
She is one of his girlfriends.
Wow.
And, I don't want to reveal too much, because that is going to be a pretty interesting scene.
So she belongs to one of the personalities.
Yes.
Interesting.
Ah, just one of his personalities?
Well, she kind of plays off of it.
You plays okay.
Wow. And when does this film start shooting?
We're hoping to start shooting late summer, early fall.
And just so you know, I'm not schizophrenic. Neither am I.
Just playing.
You are an actor.
Yeah, unless you're method, so you are schizophrenic.
Now, when David gets into a character, he really gets into his role, and he stays in character pretty much until you're done shooting.
Wow.
So yeah, he is an excellent method actor. He stays with it. Pretty much any role that you put him into, he really develops and takes a hold of that character and just goes for it.
Wow.
So David, do you do theater as well?
No, I'm actually going to do a one-man show.
Oh.
That's my New Year's resolution. I've been talking about it for 2 years. It's going to be called Beautiful or Brutal.
It's the original title was John Wayne Gacy the Musical.
Can I say that again?
No.
He's being a wise guy.
Yeah, I'm used to them.
Oh. So are you from the Visalia area as well, good sir?
No, but I heard you guys talking about Fresno. Visalia is beautiful. Visalia is like Mayberry.
Wow. That's
I
what
love
he said. That's what, yeah.
Wow.
That's exactly what your director said.
I went into Fresno once. I go to visit my parents when they lived there, and my sister in Oakhurst, right up there. And we would go to on the weekend, go to dinner. My mom took me downtown Fresno, and I wanted to get some cowboy boots, and I went and saw this store, a shoe cobbler guy that sells boots, and I saw this big giant cowboy boot in there. And I walked in there, and I said, that boot looks like it could fit Andre the Giant. He's all, that's one of his pair. He never came and picked him up. And they're like, wow. So I just display it in our window.
Well, you know what's funny, Chris or Joe, you probably know the story more. You know about the Billy the Kid picture that was found at a thrift store in Fresno, right?
No.
Is that the whole Brushy Billy thing?
No, No, someone apparently at a thrift store in Fresno, someone found one of the only photographs of Billy the Kid and sold it for like $400,000.
Wow.
Like 50 cents. I don't know. It's made world news.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You guys live there.
I know. I'm like, that just happened yesterday?
No,
I'm just
about
kidding.
a
I'm just
year
kidding.
or so ago.
Steve Joyner is a Visalia fetishist. They never would have guessed.
I got that same information on Facebook because I get all my truthful.
Sam, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. I did. I saw it. Actually, it's true. But I get all my information from Facebook, so you know it's got to be true.
Of course.
But no, but
By the way,
this
you
is
should give
true.
that Nigerian prince the money if you want more money.
But this happens to be true.
Wow.
Really
It's like
true.
a thrift store. Some guy got a little picture of cowboy.
Yeah.
25 cents is a tin picture and turned out to be the only other picture of Billy the Kid.
Original, real, authentic.
Yeah, the real
Wow.
400,000 change.
Wow.
That's really fascinating, actually. When you know when
I
you
don't have
That's
that
crazy.
luck. I've heard of people finding like Rembrandts at garage sales.
Yeah, I
So it's
know.
like, why can't I get that luck?
I'm never the guy to find the Action Comics #1. Somebody,
I wind up with paint by number.
Yeah.
somebody just bought out of a 50-cent bin at Frankensons. Somebody bought what turned out to be the first appearance of Deadpool. And the first thing the dealer did after the kid sold it to the guy was fire the kid.
Oh wow!
It was interesting. Getting back to the clown that Joe's doing here. Is Dave still online?
Dave, you're still with us, right? Come into the light, Dave.
Dave.
Yeah.
Ah, perfect.
Okay, so I talked to David. I met David and I spoke to him on the phone. Never met him in person. And he's
You made
really,
the right choice.
anyway, he's really, he's just one of these actors that's really, he said I'm still developing it. And I have read the script. I haven't read the revised script yet. Incidentally, I'm doing a cameo in this film.
Yay!
Yeah, it's
All right.
Is he an evil clown or a victim? Joe, you can tell
Actually,
us.
he's a cop.
Wow. He talks like a cop.
Officer
You
Rich.
look
He
like a
sits like-
cop.
Yeah. You can see Steve trying to infiltrate. Oh, where do we buy the weed?
He's the
I'm here for the
undercover, right?
marijuana.
What's cool is that in this film, and I'm, if you do a lot of films, is you have Joe using LA talent and then local talent. Someone like Chris, someone that's local, not done a lot, but it gives it that authenticity. But David's really intent on that. So I made the joke that Joe found his Hannibal Lecter in David.
Oh.
And David's like, yeah, method act. I don't go on the set and they don't have to call me, by the name. He doesn't go like full Andy Kaufman. And did you ever meet him, Sam? At all?
Who is that?
Andy Kaufman, did you ever meet him?
I actually was at the Comedy Store when he first did that other character that everybody. hated.
Tony Clifton.
Clifton.
And I'm sitting with his manager in the main room at the Comedy Store, and I go, "What the?" I said, "Don't you recognize who that is?" I go, "No, but he's awful." and there was it's the first time he ever did it.
Oh, the
And
Tony
20
Clifton.
minutes went by before Andy came out because he was taking the makeup off, and she goes, "That's Andy." I go, "What?" I go, "That what?" And then of course the dichotomy was the contrast was that Andy comes out, he gets a standing ovation. They just saw him as this awful
Boy,
Tony Clifton, and that was the joke. The joke was
That's funny.
Andy comes out, wow, hey, it's Andy, finally, somebody funny,
Did you, Sam, were you ever there with Robin Williams?
Yes, Robin and I used to do medical Shakespeare together. He made me go to improv class, and I dropped out because I was busy with stand-up and acting and Donald Duck and all that other stuff and dancing. So many pounds ago, but Robin was really nice to me. This is before Mork and Mindy and before he was a big hit and all that. And he would come out and go, "Look, the moon like a testicle hangs low in the sky." And I would say, "'Tis I, young Frederick, man of 1,000 feces, come to talk. A pox upon your coccyx sucker." Alas, poor incest, I knew her well, Felicio. Et tu, whatever. Et tu uterus. You're too sweet, diabetes. Come with me, And then I wrote my stuff out. That stuff I wrote, he would just fly, off the handle,
Well,
and
Sam, did you ever play in a horror movie like the
no, I
Police
never
Story?
did horror movies.
How did you miss a horror movie?
I don't
It's
know.
the 70s, man.
Bad agents.
I love seeing comedians like
Hey, why don't you be in clown and I'll kill you?
like my career. Thank you.
Oh.
Oh.
Hey.
burned by Yankee Doodles.
I got to tell you something. I love people that dress themselves down.
Aw.
I'll be here all week.
You
Then.
should, you'll be doing this all week in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do remember Robin doing films like 1 Hour Photo
Yes.
and Insomnia, great movie, and it was so cool to
Christopher
see,
Nolan, man.
Exactly. So it's so cool to see him play something serious like that. And I'm wondering, with what Joe's directing, a horror movie or a suspense, or
Sure.
would that be a challenge for an actor?
I think any learning experience, acting's about learning and a challenge to do the next thing. Look at Gary Oldman. I mean, for a guy like that, amazing.
Yeah,
Because
brilliant.
From Sid Vicious all the way to Winston
Harvey
Churchill.
Oswald, Dracula, all the way.
Now
to
that's a wide range
Commissioner
right
Gordon.
there.
that's a huge range. Well, Ad Asner had a huge range in his. He could do comedy and drama, and back then that was a huge deal. You
Isn't
couldn't
that
find people
amazing?
do that.
He told me,
Yeah.
Lou Grant was the first time you took a comedy character and did a serious drama with him.
Yeah.
It would be like taking Barney Fife from Andy Griffith and doing a serious cop show
That
with
is
him.
true.
And he said it was a lot of work. And he told me that it was divided loyalty because you had Gary David Goldberg, who was story editor, the creator of Family Ties, the story editor on Lou Grant. But because it was MTM shooting it, he kept running into Alan Burns and all the Mary Tyler Moore writers who would point at him and go, "Don't forget who you are." He's a lovable comedic character. And so he said he felt torn apart the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, and then after the 7th Emmy,
Yeah.
I would every time he'd win an Emmy, I go, "What? Like, there's no other actors? Like, what are you, the only one?" And he'd go, "Yeah, I guess so." But he could take a joke and all that.
I love how it's a whole process. Sam knows
Yeah.
this, and I knew this once upon a time when I was acting. And David on the phone knows this. When you were given a part, like you're talking about, when you took on the Duck and the One Syllable, and you get a role, no matter how big or small it is, and you got to make it your own. And Joe, when he's directing, I always love to hear directors' takes on stuff. You guys know this too. You get something, you're like, okay, I'll play it 50 different ways. David was telling me on the phone, he said, I'm still figuring out who this guy is. And it's cool. It's like when I hear Malcolm McDowell talking about Clockwork, and when he went to Stanley Kubrick said, "How do I play this?" I don't know. You decided. So it's
it's a process, and the greatest actors I know are the ones who know their limit. They know what they can't do, and to me that makes them successful. I mean, Gary Oldman's a real exception. The guys who turn down roles because they just don't feel they can do that. But if you watch some guys who do something out of their character, like Clint Eastwood knows he does this one character.
Yeah.
So even when he did Bridges of Madison County,
most boring Eastwood movie I've ever seen.
but Eastwood said in the character, you're not going to see Eastwood cry. So you never saw him cry he turned his back because Clint Eastwood doesn't cry.
No,
that movie is so damn boring.
Yeah,
Watching flies land on the walls.
But you learn from your mistakes, and you learn from what you can't do. And he knew that if he were to cry on screen, he'd lose his fan base.
You know what that movie lost?
Yeah.
Possibly.
So he could just turn his back
and pretend, because Eastwood is known for, being a man's man for a that and a that. You know what I mean?
They portray the husband as a jerk because he laughs at Mr. Ed reruns on TV Land. Right there, they lost me. Everyone likes talking horses. That's not being a bad guy. He just likes to,
Now that's the one thing that that's the one thing that I like about David is he's so able to take a character and turn into that character. He's played a vampire in one of our films called Blood Drive, the short film, not the sci-fi series. It's ours first.
But the sci-fi thing is nudity and gore.
They just came out with it, and I already had that like 5 years ago. Wow. I shot the short film. We're in the process of putting together a comic book also. David's right on the cover, and he's...
What company?
Blood Drive.
No. What comic company?
It's from Charlotte. I can't remember at the moment.
Really?
We're putting it together. Hopefully, it should be out this summer. It follows the short film, and then from the short film, we're going to be going into a full-length feature. and David plays Blasco, which is a really wicked.
Blasco.
Really
Blasco,
wicked vampire.
wow.
You know
He
what
tried
I'm
to-
waiting? I'll
he
tell
went
you
about
what
your
I'm
vein.
waiting for one day. I'll tell you what I'm waiting for. I want to play a nice guy. I want to play the dad. I'm always the bad guy. And I
Joe
give you a
is
perfect
shaking his head
example of
no,
that.
and he says it's not going to happen.
He can do it,
has
he
his-
can do it.
he says you got to know
I
your
just
range.
want somebody one day to make me a nice guy. And I'll give you a perfect example of this. I did that movie called Love Don't Cost a Thing with, what's his name, Nick Cannon, right? And I'm cast as the hero basketball coach, the coach of the good team, right?
Right.
20 seconds in, cut. Producer comes up to me and says, we're going to make you the coach of the bad team.
By the way,
Couldn't even be a good coach.
Oh, man.
I know a guy who does homeless. That's his gig. He's a homeless guy in every commercial, every TV show.
Oh wow.
And I said, does it bum you out? And he goes, no. I love working. And I thought, I can't. I go out for a lot of barbarians and bouncers. So I love that a homeless guy can work. He's not really homeless, but his homeless shtick, he works all the damn time.
Yeah, what's his name? He might have been the same guy I was working with on Roselli and Isles. We were at the beach
He's
at
a poor
Venice
man's
Beach.
Foster Brooks.
This actor that was playing a homeless guy was going to craft service. It was lunch, and we
They
were.
would shoo him away from craft service.
Yeah,
That's what
they were showing, hey, this is for
Get the F
cast
away,
and crew
yeah.
only. And he goes, I'm an act, like, they wouldn't let him eat him. Well, I'm part of this
He'd have to
production.
show his name in the call sheet. before
Yeah,
they
like,
ever-
I'm sorry.
Well, that's the
Hey,
best
you know,
part.
That's
back
acting.
in the day,
Acting.
I used to crash. I used to crash movie sets all the time.
You know, that's how I started too. I did that in high school. I would crash
I
movie
just walk
sets.
right up,
Yeah.
get a free lunch, sit down with people, and leave.
I saw my first naked lady on when I was in high school on a zombie set, and everyone was talking about what they did. I saw Linnea Quigley's breasts at the height of their powers, man. I mean, she was under a rain machine dancing. It was the greatest weekend in California I'd ever had. Zombies, naked women, everything. You know.
Was she pointing north?
They were shooting that.
She was very, very cold.
Oh wow.
They were shooting that show Heroes, series Heroes on Santa Clarita, and I was refinishing someone's garage door, and so I went up there and grabbed that. I got free lunch. Yeah. I walked up
And
and
they say there's no such thing.
there's no such thing. I had a free lunch that day. It was good, excellent. They catered that place very well.
The catering of Heroes?
Yeah.
You just walked up there? Did
Oh,
Yeah,
hey, remember-
I was a block down the street, and I saw the grip trucks going up there, and they go, "Oh, they're filming up there," and I just walked up there, and people go, "Oh, what are you working on? What are you like I'm painting the door, garage door."
Yeah. Steve, it's the Detroit way. You act like you own the place and you just walk in.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I took my cousin. My cousin was in town. I took her to. We crashed CB's Radford, where they shot Seinfeld and all that other stuff. And she wanted to go somewhere for lunch. She goes, "Let's go to Dupar's." I go, "I got a better idea." It was some crap sitcom. We just grabbed trays, sat down. We're eating with the casting crew. What are you doing on this? And she was fairly well dressed. So I go, she's the accountant. Oh, and everyone made sure she, anything you want, madam. But it was the best. I mean,
Amazing. The accountant's better looking than the people in the movie.
she looked like an accountant on Melrose Place.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
My cousin's half Swedish, so it was a very easy afternoon.
Care to divide?
Yeah, I mean, it was hilarious. I
Care
took
to
her-
multiply?
Once you've been on a certain lot a number of times, we did K-Pax. We did am I coming through? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did K-Pax at the downtown Metro Media, and so I could always crash them, and they were doing X-Files, and I just got in line for the X-Files, and we wandered
Wow.
in, you know, and they feed you like an Arab chieftain, and then, you know, I mean, you spend the rest of the day trying to decide how you're going to top this experience.
If you notice, the stars try to avoid food.
Yeah.
You know, because they have to stay thin, so you never see them at the truck.
They always smoke.
You're smoking, and,
Yeah.
you know, trying to keep their weight down.
On Fight Club, you would watch. They had this cool Israeli trainer, you know,
Yeah.
Mossad, And Brad Pitt would be shirtless at 5 in the morning with a cigarette clenched between his mouth doing sit-ups in the cold pavement.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was just amazing to watch because they were smoking all the time because it was a shirtless movie. So they didn't, you know. I didn't worry about it.
Yeah, you got to keep you in shape. I mean, you know, it's such a demanding thing. People don't realize. They think it's easy. Come in, you do your lines, you go home. You know, there's rehearsal. You got to stay in shape. You know, these guys hit 40, 50, 60 years of age, and, you know, Clint Eastwood still got to set up barbells.
Right.
Yeah.
On the set, he's 80.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I can lift more than you.
I'll tell you.
Freaking Eastwood, man. That's amazing.
You know, I love the old Gabby Hayes kind of, you know, I'll beat you.
I'll give you my philosophy on it.
You weren't going to the classic Hanna-Barbera studio?
No, I didn't do, 25 years after I'd done Donald Duck, the executive producer of Tom and Jerry calls me up. And
Was it Hanna-Barbera or someone else?
No, it's Warner Brothers had bought all of Hanna-Barbera's library by this time. This was 2012. And so Hanna-Barbera has been gone for a while. So everything was bought up by Warner Brothers. And he calls me up and he goes, "You still do a good duck?" I'd met him at Disney Studios, Daryl, who's the executive producer. And he was an animation supervisor. I came in one day to Donald Duck for everybody at the animation thing on the set. At the studio at Disney. And he never forgot it. Wow. And he just said, "You know, you're the best duck I ever heard." And come on in, and they had an audition of 3,000 guys audition for that little baby duck.
I didn't think, because that is a hard voice to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't think there was that many.
There aren't. I'm sure they were coming in going, you know, like Donald Duck growing up.
I'm sure there's some bad ducks too.
Really bad ducks, yeah.
I remember James Gunn told me when he did the Scooby-Doo movie.
Yeah.
The 2 Scooby-Doo movies, he said, everyone thinks his buddy does the best Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to do Don Messick. And he goes, they'll do 2 perfect Scooby-Doo lines, but then they'll have copying. And then Scooby-Doo just goes right off the rails.
You need the range. You got to make them laugh and cry and sing.
Like you said, you got to have those emotions in there.
That's right. It's an acting job. It's not just the voice. And Don Messick, great actor. Wow. You know, the acting comes first, and then you have to create Scooby-Doo's range. You know, yeah, right.
See?
Pretty good.
Anybody can go, ooh, but you got to be able to sing, cry, laugh. You know? You can probably do it though.
Although Joe's running the audition.
He's pretty damn good.
I give you Scooby-Doo coming at you.
I give you the job.
What's your philosophy on that, David?
I'm going to give you my philosophy on that. Anybody who thinks acting is an easy job, those are your bad actors.
Acting is reacting, chum.
Acting is not acting. That's the hardest part.
That's it.
But if you're an actor, it's not an easy gig. It's very psychologically and emotionally draining. If any actor finds it easy, that's because you're not a good actor. You're just reciting lines. Big difference between a good actor and a bad actor.
Yeah, there are actors out there.
That's my philosophy.
There are actors out there who tell you, and you're right, because they'll tell you that, you know, I did this part in this movie and I almost died. You know, I couldn't, I never recovered, or, you know, it emotionally scarred me because they were so into the character, you know.
Well,
I did a film called Tres Caminos. I play a guy who's an alcoholic who hasn't left his apartment in 14 years. And that was 10 days of horror in my life. 10 days. And that stayed with me a long time.
Yeah,
and of course, it was typecasting, but...
There you go. John, David, you got a good voice for radio. I think you should come down to the studio live with us sometime.
Oh, I definitely will. Unfortunately, today I couldn't because I have some appointments.
Yeah,
I would love to be there.
You've
it would
got
make
a good
it a lot
voice.
easier for me to hear everything. No, I used to do voiceovers in New York all the time.
Wow. But that's interesting. I was just thinking about Hanna-Barbera. You know, did you do any voices there? That the dumpy little studio?
I was busy in the theater. I was doing Hello Dolly with Martha Ray and the Van Johnson.
Martha Ray, Bonita Bazaar of the Bugaloos.
Yeah.
There's no business like
yes.
no business like no business. I know.
Considering her huge acting career, the fact that you remember as a boogaloo.
I love her as Bonita Bazaar.
Every time she hears that, she does another slow rotation in hell. You can also mention she was the first celebrity to do dentures commercials.
Yes.
Oh.
Oh my God!
They paid her a fortune.
Yeah, but at the same time, there was
I loved her dentures.
There was this,
I would kiss her.
They were partial.
There was this sweet.
I was impartial. She was partial. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. I was just thinking the other. I'm blanking on her name, but
Maggie Martha Ray. Who?
No, the actress in the 40s. She was a leading lady. She wanted to doing adult diaper commercials. Do you remember that?
God, yeah. I forgot her name.
Oh God!
Really bad on names.
And that piece of crap who was married to Shirley Jones.
Oh, I know. He passed away.
Yeah, but he was chasing her down. You owe me my commission from the he was Biggly on Grave Ape.
Oh.
You know, but
Grape Ape.
He's a great voiceover guy. But
I'm Dickens, he's Spencer. I think
yes, exactly right. But he was chasing this
Marty Ingalls.
Marty Ingalls. He was chasing this legendary 40s actress down. He went on Entertainment Tonight to call her names because she owed him 10%. It was just. And she's trying
Get
to
over it.
Right.
She's embarrassed as hell to be doing these diaper ads. And he's on Entertainment Tonight blasting her for the comeback of a lifetime.
When I worked with Martha Ray, we did Hello Dolly. I was the head waiter. And she told me she had won a singing contest. She was from Montana. She was like 17 or 18. And they brought her out to MGM for a screen test. And they found out she was really funny. But she was actually a singer. So after the show, we went to the hotel lobby there with the pianist. She brought the pit pianist out and put some money in the snifter and told the other guy to take a break. And she would sing scat like Ella Fitzgerald. She was a scat singer, and she was phenomenal. She's the third one to do Hello Dolly on Broadway. So, you know, to be the head waiter was pretty good. I almost ruined my career. I almost got fired. The opening night, we do the Hello Dolly number, and I got the tray with the wine and thing where the waiters.
Oh no!
And we
was it glued on?
Yeah, sure. So we do these big jumps, you know, tourgetés. You know what they are? You jump in the air and twist, and you land in an arabesque. So you do 3 across the stage, and I hit the microphone with the tray 3 times, all 3 times. And I hear boom.
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah, right. You got it. So I thought I'm going to get fired. And so the choreographer and the director come backstage and go, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened. He goes, oh, no. We thought it was great. You know, you're up here and the other 2 guys are here. You know, you like out-jumped them. So next time we're just going to restage it so you don't hit the microphone, and do me a favor, look up. That was the whole thing. And, you know, Maggie came by in the opening night and pinched me in the butt. Opening, I don't go like this, and she's go, here's my card.
That was Martha Ray?
Yeah, and she gave me a little card that says Maggie on it. And all
she liked young guys, so that was.
She was just very nice. I mean, just nothing about anything. You know,
so you weren't screaming.
Hey, do you want a good almost fired story?
Yeah.
I got one to top yours.
Oh,
anybody
can top me.
Effing doodle.
I'm doing the movie Prince of Tides with Barbara Streisand and Nick Nolte.
Oh yeah.
And we're in Grand Central Station, and me and a couple other cats are talking about her music. And they say, David, come on. So I'm standing right behind Barbara Streisand, and you know, she's kind of notorious for all business. And under my breath, I'm singing, people who need people. And I realize, and her head starts to slowly turn. And I thought, oh my God. And she looks at me. I said, listen, we were just talking about your music. This was not intentional. She smiled and slowly turned her head back towards set. I thought I was out.
Yeah, that's very close to being out from the sound of things.
Yeah, wow. That was a close one, man.
That's a slow air
Well,
turn.
I thought that was. I'm like, oh my God! In my head, I'm like, no. Oh, I was ready to get dressed down.
That's
No, she just gave me a little smile, but slowly turned her head back towards camera.
Wow. That sounds like almost attempted suicide on a movie set. That is too funny. And I mean, it's just amazing to see you guys. We've never had this packed a house in studio, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've never had so many guests in the studio ever. I mean,
is anybody listening? That's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and somebody behind the glass. That makes 7 of us here.
I actually have one listener with a calling question for our guest.
Oh, yeah. It's okay. Let's hear it.
Was there any rival between Donald Duck and Daffy Duck?
The rival? No, not that I know of.
That's Warner Brothers versus Disney. You can't. There's a barrier right there.
Well, I got to say, I'm the only actor who's ever done Little Quacker and Donald Duck. I'm the only one that's ever done both.
Both?
What do you prefer?
They're all the same to me. A duck's a duck. For that and that.
Has Little Quacker ever met Droopy? I love Droopy.
Droopy dog. Droopy. Dang, you're dead.
Hey, Buck, you make me mad.
Sam does a perfect Droopy, and Jeff sounds like a cartoon dog that's had a stroke.
Hey, Butch, you make me mad.
Please change me. Wow.
I'm just a cartoon dog.
Bling.
Boo.
And all I can do is Christopher Walken.
Marty Cordy.
Christopher Walken? Oh, I love him.
Cordy.
Wow.
From Empire Comics Lab.
Oh, and
Wow.
Empire Comic Lab, they also do the zombie comics.
They do.
Those are
Yeah,
amazing.
they're
And cemetery plots.
now let me ask you, when you're doing this for them, are they providing the artist or do you have to pay for the artwork?
I'm paying for the artwork.
Wow. And how did you find Marty Cordy?
Through Dan Johnson, which is one of my script writers, and he also wrote Blood Drive.
He's a good artist. This is the cover. This is a perspective cover.
I
That's
like
the
it.
one. I've been in meetings about a comic series, and the one thing I can't stand is they want you to pay for the artwork.
Yeah.
And that's the most expensive part. They want you to pay for everything.
They want you to pay for the artwork, and they want to keep the art.
Yeah, they want to keep your artwork.
I'm good with that because I understand how
No,
an
no, no.
artist is. He
Hey,
wants
hey,
to have his own
you
original
got to get
artwork.
your work. The artist wants to keep his own artwork.
Sure.
Okay, I thought you said the company.
I'm good with that as long as I have a litho.
Yeah,
That's
as
called
long as
rap
they
that.
know it's your creations and all that, right?
The one on top is David,
Wow.
and they did a really good job of.
And they
making it
gave
match up
David.
to-
They gave David the Tomb of Dracula. The Tomb of Dracula by Gene Colan had he had the red collar and the blue cape. And wow! It's a beautiful artwork. Who's the chick?
We don't know yet.
Oh,
We still have to cast her.
Chris.
Gosh, it might be Chris. It's a blonde.
Yes. Oh, by the way, if you need somebody to make fangs, I'm a former dental technician.
Really?
That's how I got all into this entertainment stuff.
he's former
making
'cause he got-
Goofy and vampire teeth for fun, and it was great. Remember at Comic-Con when I did Dexter Dork?
Yes.
And I put on a dress like a Star Trekkie and,
he invented
the
wax. He put
glasses
on
with the tape, and I
he
had the
put on
buck.
a wax overbite,
Oh, the wax.
and he would go bother celebrities.
Oh, yeah.
But he would wear a wig. He would act kind of slow, and they would indulge him for about 5 minutes. And then they would literally whisper to their assistant, "Get this moron away from me."
Don't talk. He's coming here. Don't talk to him. He won't leave.
And Jeff is, and they're trying to sell him shtick. You know, Harlan Ellison and all these other guys. Why don't you buy a book? I'm not much for reading.
I
he
like
would
action
literally-
figures.
He would
That's why they
literally.
made comic books.
You would just see the vein in the celebrity's head start to throb, and that's the moment Jeff was going for. But they're using utmost patience because they think he's slow.
That's how convincing my teeth are.
And the better, well, also you play stupid really well.
Thanks, Jake.
Most of your life. But he has thick glasses on.
Typecasting.
He is
Typecasting me.
Oh,
There's
exactly.
a lot of money in playing stupid. Trust
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
You're looking at him right here. I'm right here.
But he has big, thick glasses, and it was the most amazing performance art you'd ever seen. He would go up to the porn actresses. This is in the wild, wild 90s when Comic-Con was half porn.
Yeah.
And he would be
Susie Owens.
he would be lifting up the pictures that weren't supposed to be seen by the nerds on the convention floor. Are those real? You know, and you see she's trying to indulge him to a certain point. And the hilarious thing is, even the softcore actress realizes he's not going to crack the wallet, and she starts trying to gently and then more forcefully get rid of him. You know, this bed bug that's hanging around the table.
Unfortunately, all we had was VHS video cameras there. Nobody had one. You couldn't, back in those days.
Painfully funny. It was
just live performance that could only live in your memory.
Jeff, you need to revive this character.
Oh, yeah, Dexter.
I think so too.
He loves Dexter Dark, man.
The
Dexter
funniest thing,
Dark, that's great.
it's the funniest thing he ever did. He would, the funny thing is watching the celebrity. It'd be some Star Trek fifth build. That's the guy with the chainsaw.
We got a weed whacker guy right outside the window here ruining my show.
As you know, listeners, our Monday show is always interrupted by the weed whacker guy outside the window of our famed chaotic radio studios.
I saw the
You have to
right
interview him
behind
one
me.
day.
Forget
Yeah.
but as we say here, Richard, forget it, Jake. It's Rancho Cucamonga.
Oh, we didn't plug our sponsors yet.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, we got sponsors paying for this show. Patrick, where do you go when you want to smoke a fine cigar and have a glass of craft beer and wine from all over the world?
When I want a cold craft beer and I want to watch the sun set over the IHOP in the little downtown Upland, I usually go to Pacific Wine Merchant.
And Cigar Exchange
And
in
Cigar
downtown
Exchange.
Upland,
You can
right
hang-
at the Metrolink.
You can hang with the former mayor and the co-star of the Taking a Pelham 123.
Yes, and also, where do you go when you're hungry for a bagel and
Well,
breakfast?
I like New York bagels, so I don't go for these California bagels. They're much too dry.
Why do they call them New York bagels? What's the ingredient?
Because the great Jamal makes it with actual, honest-to-God New York water.
And
Amen.
that's what makes them New York bagels. Can you relate to that, David?
I'm sold.
You're sold.
The everything bagel. Oh, am I still holding your phone? I'm sorry.
The everything
Hold on a
bagel,
minute.
that's your favorite, isn't it?
Yeah,
all right,
I
you
love
can hold it.
I'm sorry about that, Joe. I love the everything bagel. It's amazingly good.
My favorite is the blueberry bagel with egg and cheese and sausage, and makes a great sandwich.
The whole schmear. ladies
And you
gentlemen.
can go to New York Bagel Company. They're located right there on Archibald and Foothill.
And they're
I'm headed there right now.
damn right you
There
are.
you go.
A stone's throw from Four Color Comics. You know, and
Yeah, thanks for making me hungry.
hey, trust me. When you walk into Jamal's New York Bagel, he has the entire wall of the place is a giant Life magazine, black and white photo of New York. You feel like you're in Times Square. It's amazing.
We all took a group picture there with him. It was awesome.
He was amused. We were too. Our mustaches were dripping with like sour cream and everything else in the everything bagel. It looked like a very filthy act.
Dan, how much time do we have before we got to close our
We
show?
started slightly late.
We started late, so I put 25 minutes on the clock. We
Yes.
could stop
Yes, all right.
All right, we turn to the bond.
Yes.
And
It's Hot Chick Monday
Usually
on
Hot
the
Chick
Jeff
Friday.
Sargent Show.
I love it. I love
Hi,
it.
Chris.
I love it. Hi.
You've got a beautiful smile
You do, David.
you.
and a lovely voice for radio as a
really
face
tough.
for
There
television.
you go.
Oh, you guys, I'm never leaving. Never
Oh,
leaving.
Promise?
Thank you. Yes. my head can't get through the door, I don't
Well,
think.
thank you, fetching one. What's your origin story, baby? Where were you born?
Actually, I was born in Ukiah, California.
Wow.
I know,
So your parents are either hippies or white extremists.
Probably hippies.
Where is Ukiah?
He said,
It's up north, far. I don't know. It's like by.
I think it's on the border of Oregon. isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think so.
Yeah.
California. I don't know.
Ukiah.
I came here when
Trust
I was
me,
two,
I
so
know.
don't remember.
I know
It's
where
a
you were
street
born.
here in downtown
And I know
Upland.
where you
when
live.
she was 3, her father handed her a rifle and said, watch out for federal agents.
I know where she was born and I know where she lives.
Perfect. So when you stalk her, we'll just come along and
Yeah.
split the gas.
Yeah, you hear me?
I love it.
You can hear me walking.
And you can also do scary breathing voices fall through.
And then Yankee Doodle comes up. Are you my mama?
Yankee Doodle will have to change the world's opinion of breastfeeding. Interesting. Interesting. So you were born in Ukiah.
Yes, and then moved down to Fresno when I was like 2.
How many times have you been to Half Dome?
Oh gosh, about 5 times. Yosemite?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yosemite's beautiful.
Well, luckily I own a boat, so we're only about 45 minutes away from Bass Lake.
Will it hold Patrick up if we come and visit, or will it sink or tip over?
No, you guys can all fit.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's great.
So our obscenities against the human race will take place on a boat outside.
Bass Lake.
There you go. Yeah, so I've been
you-
there since, well, God, 40 years now.
Okay, perfect. Chris, just look over there for a minute.
Chris, let me
Joe,
ask
have you ever directed a snuff film?
No, not yet.
Perfect.
I have a few people I have in mind, though.
Chris, were you there when John Candy was on Bass Lake and they were filming The Great Outdoors?
I wasn't there, but I lived in Fresno. Yeah. That
I
was a
will
big
point
deal.
out, though, hey, hold on. You can't just go on about the Great Outdoors. Great Outdoors shot here on our very own Mount Baldy as well.
Oh.
All the bear scenes were shot on our very own, hello, you. Were shot on our very own Mount Baldy, right up here.
Really?
My brother ended up talking to Dan Aykroyd like 10 years before Dan Aykroyd did his film, Grosse Point Blank.
Oh, interesting.
Now, my mom's friend Gretchen, who is a mature lady, not too many years
So
younger
why
than
did
my
you do
mom.
that? Whoa. You
She
just said she's a mature lady
doubled
and did
for
the
one of the
breasts.
kids on the boat when they were.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when they're speeding on the river and he gets knocked off
Yeah.
on the boat. Yeah.
They used a lot of locals in that movie, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun.
Were
Yeah.
you guys on the set?
No. I wish.
I like how Jeff goes, my mom's friend Gretchen, a mature lady.
No, she
Hubba,
looks
hubba.
like she looks like a 12-year-old, far away because she's short and tiny, and she doubled for one of the
Really?
kids.
That's kind of
I
cool.
did hear, Chris, Joe, I did hear that the camp scene in Adam's Family Values was filmed up there, too.
Really?
That's what I heard. I don't know.
I've never seen
Oh
it.
yeah, that was. I recognize that. Yeah, the boat docks and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It was a funny movie, actually. Adam's Family Values. It's underrated.
Really? Yeah, I've never seen it.
Awesome movie.
And I even bought the Adams Family cereal.
Did you?
I did the music video that was canceled for Adam's Family Values when Michael Jackson got accused. They were shooting Seinfeld next door because I remember Elaine made fun of me. Who played Elaine on Seinfeld?
Julia Dreyfus.
Yeah, Julie Louise-Dreyfus, or I know her, Julia Louise-Dreyfus from Troll. If any of you saw Troll, a great John
Oh,
Beakley show.
yes.
And now I'm
Wait,
She plays a wood nymph in one scene.
Oh
It's the
my
best scene
gosh,
in the
yeah.
movie. But yeah, she was making fun of me because I was shoving a waffle into my mouth because we had to go back to the Michael Jackson thing. And there was like 5 levels of security. So you had like a laminated pass. And if you were actually in the damn thing, you had like a super gold pass that they would beep on the way in. They built the haunted mansion. They built the haunted mansion at CBS Radford, the indoors. Jackson had such pull, he had them basically built. There was one soundstage that was the entire town walking up to his mansion. Stephen King wrote it.
Oh, wow.
And Jackson disappeared abruptly, and we didn't know why until all the camera crews came running at our cars every morning on the way on the
Oh, no.
It was weird, you know what I mean? Then they tried to shoot for another week around Michael Jackson. He had an impersonator, a dancing impersonator for him from the behind shots. And we were spending all week with this guy, waiting for Michael Jackson to come back, waiting in vain, it turned out.
Oh,
And it was
no.
like Carol Strachan, who played Lurch, Christina Ricci, and Jimmy Workman, who played Pugsley. The 3 of them are there, but nobody else. And we're all waiting. Everyone's like waiting for Michael Jackson to come back, and it's.
Kind of sad.
I don't think he's coming.
No.
He was waiting for Godot.
Oh,
But it just appeared around Christmas. They put it up on Spanish YouTube, which people keep slapping on my site.
No.
So punch in Is This Scary when you get home. And you'll see all this terribly sad rolls of us watching a Michael Jackson impersonator. Couple shots of the real guy. Interesting, strange cat, but, you know, say
Really?
la vie.
Oh, check that out.
Hey, I only have one thing to say about that.
Later, oh, dang. Points. I was called in for another one where they filmed me for like a week following this guy who looked like Jesus up the street. There was this one guy who looked like Jesus in robes. This is Midnight in Moscow, which, of course, they shot in the Nickel, as the bums call it, downtown. They made downtown LA, where they usually shoot CSI and all that. They made it look like Moscow. They put up a couple Russian signs.
That's cool.
And I followed Jesus up the street for a week. We never see Michael Jackson. The video comes out, and he digitally puts himself in front of the Jesus guy, and that's Michael Jackson in the video in the same outfit.
Oh, really?
So a white guy was doubling for Michael Jackson. So it was very strange. Midnight in Moscow.
Makes perfect sense.
It does, doesn't it? But wow, so talk to us. So, Chris, tell us more. What was the weirdest job you had in your area?
The weirdest?
Yes.
I wouldn't say it was weird. Probably the best. I was the bar cart girl at a country club golf course. So I drove around with alcohol all day long.
Wow.
Awesome.
And midriff, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Got a little hiding spot behind the 9th hole where we'd move a little slow.
What is it about the 9th hole? Everybody does something at the 9th hole.
Yeah. Best job ever. I was, going to college, and there was a lot of rich older men that would tip well. And
Can't imagine why.
Just
Especially
an
in the
innocent,
9th hole.
just an innocent country girl.
Yeah.
and then I learned how to play golf there, so that was kind of nice. But
Wow.
so that's probably no weird job. It's just probably the best job I've had.
Was Dinah Shore still playing golf back then?
I don't know. Maybe.
Go on, Steve, before you rudely interrupt.
Yeah, my joke cut off. That's what she was doing, Danny Newton, when he was trying to get a scholarship, and Judge Snails was bringing.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea who those people
It's
are.
a classic reference to Caddyshack.
Oh, Caddyshack. Okay.
Where Ted,
By my friend Maddie Simmons.
well, that's true. Ted Knight plays the Wasp, even though Ted Knight is Polish. He's harassing Rodney Dangerfield because Rodney Dangerfield is named Al Cervic. He's the loud, obnoxious Polish guy who Ted Knight doesn't want around. So it's kind of hilarious. Cindy Morgan and Ted Knight are both Polish, but they're playing anti-Polish hating wasps.
Oh, how funny. That's too funny.
It's a brilliant movie. It just hit Netflix, by the way.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
And Cindy Morgan's amazing in it, of course.
Yeah, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee is now on Netflix.
Yeah. Hey, what episode are you in?
I'm in the Kathy something. No, I can't remember anybody's name anymore.
Kathy Griffin?
No, not Kathy Griffin.
You don't want to be
Maddox.
anywhere near her now.
Kathy Maddox. Yeah, no comment.
Yeah, but she's cratering. You just want to keep running until it stops.
Kathy Madigan and Sebastian Maniscalco. But I did the commercials, so for Netflix, they probably cut the commercials out. But,
I will
but was
watch
great
it
to
for
do
your commercial.
Yeah, you can see it on my website. Go
When
to my
we-
website.
When as I told you, we came to California in the 80s. When I got my driver's license, I had to take my elderly grandmother down to Hollywood, scary Hollywood Boulevard, 80s style, to the Merv Griffin show. And I remember
As rats rocking down the street.
Yeah.
Who are those girls?
This will really set you back. One episode, it was James Coco was the main guest, followed by the incredibly. Remember the James Coco?
Yeah.
Followed by the incredibly popular in the 80s Seagal twins, Katie Seagal's younger sisters. And the comedian was Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh my God.
And the only part of the show that worked was when, James Coco and the Seagal twins cooking. Jerry Seinfeld comes out. He sets the room on fire. He's doing Commissioner Gordon. He goes, what if Batman villains are like real criminals? And he goes, they're robbing cars. Oh, it was a Sony radio. It must be the Penguin, one of his great bits. And I mean, Jerry Seinfeld just set the joint on fire, and then he was done. They didn't even have him afterwards. They sent him out.
They didn't have it said.
Yeah, James Coco got to come back, but not Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, that's funny.
Well, Jerry's a big-hearted guy, really great guy. And Barry Martyr's a genius, and that's his head writer. And he wrote Letters from a Nut at the Geffen. And
Yeah, you're a star in that. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, thanks. And then we're going to do another one this year called More Letters from a Nut. And thanks to Barry, and Jerry produces it. And,
How come you never did Seinfeld?
I just didn't have good agents. I didn't have any agents at that time.
Wow.
I just was busy. I don't know, doing stand up and acting, but just not. It's the thing is about show business is to stay in it.
Yeah.
It's not about they fired you or did you quit. It's trying to keep going.
But I'm looking at your IMDb, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you hit everything, you know?
I could do everything except make a living. Yeah. So that doesn't impress the blonde.
Wow.
But, you know, that's what it is. But
Mention
she-
your
Join the
look
wealth.
where she lives.
Sure.
For God's
Did you
sake.
ever have a possibility of Curb Your Enthusiasm at all?
I've never auditioned for it, so and I don't really know him. I know Jerry, but I work with Jerry in stand up, and with we were with George Wallace.
Oh,
who
the
I'm-
black comedian. He's
and-
very
Oh
funny.
yeah.
And my respect for Seinfeld is because he was the headliner and Wallace was the middle act, and I was opening, and I just I mean Wallace just slays the room, and I know how do you follow that? And Jerry followed that. Jerry was very good, very very good. I mean, I could not believe anybody could follow George Wallace, and then that's my respect for.
Because
for
Wallace, I mean, you look at Wallace in like a house party or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
and he just sets the joint on fire.
Yeah, I mean, he should be an even bigger star. I mean, he's got the charisma and the stage presence. I mean, he really projects his personality and all that stuff. And I would be scared to death to follow him. And then here Jerry just gets up and boom, slays the room. I mean, that's how good Seinfeld is.
Sam, did you know Phil Hartman and
No.
Jay Leno?
I knew Jay Leno from the Comedy Store. He was the best, I think, one of the best nightclub comics I ever saw.
Wow.
Yeah, he was in person. Unbelievable. It's just one joke after the next. I mean, he's a steel trap mind. And I work with a lot of guys. Letterman was there at the time. Shanling.
Tim Thomerson?
Tim Thomerson was my favorite. He made me go to Stella Adler for
Did
acting.
he really? I
Yeah,
love Tim Thomerson.
He did the entire Stagecoach movie alive on stage.
Yes,
Yes,
the Stagecoach.
yes. And he did.
He's Jack Death in the 80s. He was Bruce Campbell before Bruce Campbell.
He was Robin Williams before there was Robin Williams.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he used
The
to
high
do,
comedian and all that.
Yeah, he used to do what's his name, ordering at McDonald's. The guy who did Death Wish.
Charles Bronson.
He used to do Charles Bronson ordering at McDonald's.
Wow.
That is
Oh,
the
that's too
funniest
funny.
bit I've ever.
I remember that.
Yeah. Hold a pickle or I'll hold your face.
Now, what would you guys do when you had a joke thief? There were a couple famous joke thieves in that era.
There were. You would do your act in the '70s, and the next week you'd see it on a sitcom. And there were fights in the back. We saw people writing. I would see other comics come over and beat the guy up and take his notes and rip him up. After a while, that took a while to catch on to that. We had no idea they were doing that. So
Because, I mean, the famous Emmy-winning Tonight Show performance by Robin Williams about the LA riots, he took from another comedian.
well, Robin was known for doing your act better than you could. Yeah, seriously, he was he was a genius. But whatever he saw, went into his sponge-like brain and just never left.
'Cause
And,
there were
like
nights
you, he's got that
Wow.
steel trap for a mind. But he was amazing. I mean, he was a great actor, and he was the king of improv. Now, I've never seen anybody on that level like that.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
And in person, he was a lot of fun.
Who was the most gracious famous comedian you knew?
Oh, I don't. Geez, I don't know. I mean,
All of them.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the improv guys were nicer, and then a lot of the stand-ups.
Wow.
It was a competition back then where they hoped you bombed. So
Really?
they hoped you bombed.
Wow.
That's so
So
cool.
they would look good. Not all of them. I'm just generalizing here, but I mean, there were a lot of comedians who were really sweet and nice, and they were just as innocent as I was. But yeah, I mean, I was in the middle of my act, and some comic yells out, "Check, please." It's like,
Wow, that's
Yeah.
dirty.
Ouch! I'm very hurt.
yeah,
That's really dirty.
yeah. What do you do? I mean,
horrible.
you're just caught off guard.
What
So,
did you say? How did you come out?
I don't know what I said.
What
I
a
just-
dick.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared for the worst when you do that,
Wow.
right? I mean,
Right, exactly. You got to be prepared, and it's a learning. It was a learning time, to learn your craft, at the Comedy Store. Yeah.
Did you know Jim Carrey or Dana Carvey?
No, I didn't know Jim very well. I didn't know him at all, really. I watched him at the Comedy Store in the main room. He was amazing. He did facial impressions. he
You
had an
guys have to
amazing
watch
voice.
the Jim Carrey, Andy Kaufman documentary.
I hear it's
That-
amazing.
it is
Oh, yeah, it's great.
phenomenal.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was
it's brilliant.
golden. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is you can see Peter.
I
Bonner.
mean, you want to talk about method acting? Oh my
he
goodness
never
gracious!
got out of
what a
character in that
lunatic.
documentary.
You can see Peter Bonner's in it?
Bonners was obviously a producer or something on the show on that movie, and my friend Norman, who passed away, was part of the music. He did some of the music for the Andy Kaufman movie. You know what's it called?
Man in the Moon.
See, Man in the Moon. So he did. music for
Krasuski and
that.
Alexander wrote it. Who also Larry Karaszewski and
Yeah.
they won the Oscar for Ed Wood.
Yeah.
You know, they're really great writers and good guys too.
I think the
these-
funniest thing about that documentary for me was seeing Milos Forman and trying to deal with this, like,
Yeah.
Milos Forman of all people. Wow.
He was the director, and he was trying to.
Amadeus, yeah, and
the
Man in the Moon.
director of Amadeus, he's like, Jim, Andy, can we just do it this way, please? I tried to make it. Poor Milos.
All right. Here comes my favorite part.
What?
Yes.
It's time to go to the plugs, and then we got to wrap it up. We're
Okay.
We're already 20 minutes over, so we're going.
Well, we started late, though.
We're 25 minutes. We're 25 minutes.
No,
over.
no. Dan,
Wait,
Dan-
I wanted to ask Sam one more question about the
Go
Mad
ahead.
TV and this
Yeah.
Albert Finney character. You're
Yeah.
playing Albert Finney? What's that
Yeah,
about?
I was a drunken dancing Albert Finney. And we did what was that the movie with Cher where they discover the water is tainted and everybody's dying and they wouldn't admit
Oh,
it.
Silkwood.
Not Silverwood, it's Cher as and Mo Collins played Cher.
Mo Collins, yes, I
yeah.
love her. I met her.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I've done so many things, I forget what I am I here? So yeah, and we did so I played a drunken and I was a dancing guy and I give her the water and it's tainted and it's the musical. Brockovich the musical.
Aaron
Oh,
Brockovich.
Aaron
Yeah.
Brockovich.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I mean, I've never seen it on YouTube. I've never gotten a copy of it.
Wow.
But it was considered a very funny piece.
It sounds funny.
Yeah. So I got recommended to as a dancer, you know, because I was at the time overweight and out of shape, and I could look like Albert Finney. So,
Well, maybe it was just your twinkling Irish grin.
yes, exactly. So,
Sam, where can we follow you? For the listeners who want to.
sure, Sam K3000, SAMKAY 3000.com. It's my website. You can see all my shows and all my clips of my cartoons and TV shows as an actor.
At least one pole jumping picture, we hope.
Yes, that's one Jewish pole vault.
Jewish pole. Joseph, where can we follow your adventures, good sir?
Go to twoportugueseproductions.com.
Oh.
We're
One more
also on-
time for.
Two Portuguese Productions. We're on Facebook, and you can check out our other projects happening. And Clown is capital K, capital L, 0, small W, capital N.
And that's Portuguese, Portugese.
Portuguese.
Oh. Okay.
It's a play on Portuguese.
Enchanting Blonde. Chris, tell us where to follow your adventures.
I don't have one yet.
You don't have an adventure?
Oh, but you
You
will.
do
Her
now.
adventure's
I'll
just
make one up and let you
beginning.
guys know.
Jeff is going to lead you out to his windowless van.
Oh, God.
And then you're going to direct. Wow. Hey, Dan the Man Rupp and Jeffrey, anything to plug you both, guys?
No, we're going to be on air still after the show with a rebroadcast.
Booyah.
The rebroadcast.
So you can hear all your dulcet tones on the way home, perhaps.
Yeah, so the show's actually going to last until 11. It's just not live.
If you're near Barnes & Noble, you can pick up Star Trek the Magazine with my interview with the daughter of the guy from The Exorcist. I'm blanking on his name, Kinderman, who played the detective in The Exorcist. Anyway, his daughter starred in the first... Lee J. Cobb, thank you.
Oh, my
Julie
God.
Cobb, his daughter, the first starred in Stephen King's first TV adaptation of Salem's Lot. She was also the first female crewman to die on the original Star Trek. She's tragically turned into a cube and crumbled up in front of Captain Kirk's disbelieving eyes. That's in
my
the
God.
new Star Trek the Magazine. Check it out.
Now, how many pounds does the Infinity? It's an English magazine. How many U.S. dollars does it take to purchase this?
A whopping $8. 8 bones, you guys. It's nothing. It's a dinner at McDonald's. You can even rack read it, but don't tell them I told you to do that. It's a good article. It's 4 pages. You can buy a cup of coffee in the bookstore so you don't offend anyone.
Yankee Doodle, can you please close the Jeff Sargent show?
Bye-bye. See you later. Oh, boy, oh, boy. Bye-bye, Jeff.
Oh, what about Chopper? Say goodbye to Chopper.
No. I want Yankee Doodle to say goodbye to me, Pat Jankowitz.
Goodbye, Pat Jankowitz.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, Chopper.
I hire you, Yankee Doodle. And I hire you as well, and you two are cool.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, and Dan the Man Rupp, thank you for joining us in the Jeff Sargent Show.
All right. Thanks for
Good night,
calling,
everybody.
Dave.
Dave on
Stay,
the phone.
stay. Don't go. Stay, David. Stay.
Do you have any plugs?
Hey, why don't I leave you guys? If you ask Joe, I'm very famous for my jokes. I
Okay.
got one fresh off the presses. You got 30 seconds?
Ah, yes, we do.
Yeah.
All right. This Italian guy, Luigi, is in a bar in New York having a beer.
Yeah.
And he gets a phone call, and he gets off the phone. He's elated. And he says, "About round the drinks for the house. Everybody drinks on me." And the bartender says, "Luigi, what's going on? You got some good news?" He says, "I just had a beautiful baby boy. My wife just gave birth to my boy. He's 25 pounds, 18 inches." The bartender says, 25 pounds? He says, "Yeah, Italianos, we big boys, man. We're beautiful." It's fascinating. So a few months goes by. They all celebrate, have their beers, and a few months goes by, and Luigi comes back in for a beer, and the bartender says, "Hey, Luigi, how's the baby?" "Oh, baby, molto bene, bella mia, beautiful baby boy I have." He says, "I'm curious, how much does he weigh now?" "Oh, he weighs 17 pounds." And the bartender gets a little concerned. He's 17 pounds. Is the baby okay? Is he eating okay? Why is he, you born at 25 pounds? Why is he 17 pounds? Luigi says, "Oh, we have him circumcised."
Quack, 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 quack,
And
quack,
on
quack.
that note, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Chaotic Radio, bye.
All right. Thank you for tuning in.
Keep listening as we read.
Holy shit, Sam, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.